welcome the one and only Frog Brothers, Mr. Corey Feldman and Mr. Jamison Newlander. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you so much. I think the first thing we'd like to do is just ask you why you think this film is as absolutely incredibly beloved as it is, and more specifically, why your characters are just so iconic.
Unfortunately, we're not all here, but there was, many beautiful, miraculously fitting, moving parts that all comprised the film and what it became, I believe.
So, what I think is this. I think that the more I think about this, and I talk to different people, that I think that Schumacher had this vision for it. For some reason, he just keyed into this vision. And everything he did, everything he got out of anybody was in service of that vision. What do you think?
That's a good theory.
I appreciate that. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, okay, I'll say it this way. When I first kind of was told I was going to be doing the film, and then I found out I wasn't for sure going to be doing the film, but first it was I was going to be doing the film, and then it was maybe not, and then it was yeah, maybe, and then it was yeah, you're going to do the film, and then I got maybe you're not doing the film anymore, and then it was like okay, you can finish the film. And so it was a lot of ups and downs, but it all started with Richard Donner, who was my dear friend after we worked together so closely on The Goonies for 6 months. Jamison hasn't seen it yet, but he's going to see it.
I was trying to, there's a bunch of details that I haven't seen it in a while, but I definitely saw it, and my boys have seen it, but we got a little nervous. There was a little bit of language in it.
When I first spoke with Mr. Donner about the film, it was a very different concept. It was more likened to The Goonies than it was the film it became, which was this rock and roll teenage romp,
Undead romp.
It was, yes, the romp of the undead would be the proper
Right.
word. So Richard Donner told me that it was going to be more like The Goonies. It was going to be younger kids. And he was originally going to direct the film. And very much like The Goonies, because I had been kind of told I was going to get the job by Steven Spielberg long before I ever knew who Richard Donner was. So I was told, hey, you want to do this movie? It's going to be like a kid's version of Indiana Jones. And I was like, amazing, are you kidding? Yes, of course I want to do it. And then 6 months later, it was like, hey, I got some bad news. I'm no longer directing that movie. But, right, I felt the same way. And then Richard Donner eventually goes, hey, guess what? I'm directing the movie, and now you got to read for me, because I don't know who you are, kid. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Classic Hollywood.
Yes, classic Hollywood. So that the same thing happened when Richard Donner now liked me and said, I'll put you in my next movie, and then all of a sudden it was like, just joking, I'm no longer directing it. But you can go read for the now director, which is Joel. And Joel changed the film very entirely from the original concept to what it became.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right, how's it going? Hey, look who's in the room! It's Tim Cappello, aka Sweaty Sax Guy. Yeah, well, hey, that's a lot of women like that sort of thing. Men like it too, I guess, right? Okay, there you go. Did you use grease that day, Tim, or was that natural sweat?
Baby oil now?
It was a hot
that was a real combination of both.
Yeah.
It was nice and hot that night.
Yeah.
Sometimes, that stuff that just flies off you, right?
Yeah. No, it was
Sure.
definitely. We were there. We actually got to watch that scene being shot.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, well, here's what happened was we would hang out on the boardwalk because we were bored because there was nothing else to do. We were like, hey, they're shooting a movie here. We should go watch. Because we didn't work for like half the time we were there. So
Sure.
What are we going to do? We'll just go ride some rides and, then watch whatever they're shooting that day. But then we saw this enormous crowd, and it was like this big live party scene. And we're like, what the hell is going on tonight? All right, let's check this out.
And you had no idea? Did you know it was from the movie?
Well, we knew it was from the movie, but we didn't know how it made sense in the movie, because we're like, everything we see is like, hey, we're going to kill your brother. It's like our own little,
it was your own little movie
of stuff, right? And then, you see this kind of bigger world going on, and you're like, okay, this is kind of fun. We could hang out here for the night. And it was great. We watched her performance several times, and Corey was there with us. It was like the three of us. And then he ended up having to go, do a shot. Yeah, part of the scene, so.
Because he was working a little more because he was with both groups.
He was the star of the freaking movie. How about that? It's true. Even though my name was first, but he was the star of the movie because it was the movie I think was told through his eyes,
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's true. I never really thought about it like that, but he really was the central position.
Right.
He brought everything together, right?
Yeah.
I guess he didn't know the Lost Boys, but he...
Because it was all about his world. He found the Frog Brothers. It was his brother. It was,
Exactly.
looking after his family and his mom, and everything was just around him.
Right.
His dog, Nanook.
The first thing you would think, and I always thought, it's Michael is the center, but it's not true.
No. Michael is kind of the side. He's the B story.
But he's the big guy.
Or the F story.
I know that true.
Well, the frog story, man. Come on.
They had this dry ice they had in the tub. Like the stunt guy, he wore shorts. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know. Did you remember this?
No.
He wore shorts. He had these giant welts on his legs. It's like that kind of stuff is what happened in the tub scene. Like Brooke.
That was also the scene where Joel slapped Brooke.
That was the scene?
That was the scene.
That's a famous
because it was the whole thing, he actually slapped an actor, which was like a big, it wasn't as big a deal as it should have been in those days, but it's a big deal now, but anyway, so.
The director's king on a set, and he could get a little carried away.
Well,
with it, right?
it was more, it was his passion for the film, and it was what he wanted, and the actors were tired, and we'd been working on the set for a long time, so I think there was a lot of frustration at that point, and the DP was the biggest screamer I've ever met. I don't mean, he yelled a lot, he was just, he was really, he liked to scream.
Yeah, he had that reputation.
And so he got Joel going, and then between the two of them, it just got really chaotic. So point being, Joel was just trying to get this intensity out of Brooke, and Brooke was like, "Dude, my eyes hurt from these damn contacts and the makeup, and I just I'm doing my best." And he was kind of a mellow, stoner kind of dude. That was his vibe. So, he's like a surf dude from California type guy, So he didn't have that real intensity a lot, and he was trying to find it, and he was frustrated, and Joel was frustrated, and so Joel felt the best thing he could do was to try and shock him, to scare him, because he wanted him to look scared and fierce at the same time. And
burst into tears.
Yeah, and he burst into tears.
Really?
He just started. Yeah, it was messed up. But he did get what he needed out of it, and right before he burst into tears, he did the best take, and that's unfortunately the way these things tend to work.
Somehow you got to get it out.
Yeah.
Get that performance out of you.
Yeah, so believe me, folks, it's not as easy as it looks. It was a very tough film to make. It was a very, very tough shoot, especially for a bunch of kids.
Yeah, and also Brooke McCarter grabbed my chest hair when he pulled me.
You had chest hair?
I had chest hair.
Wow. That's right. You're old. Oh, you're still older than me.
Yeah.
How old are
you? You haven't gone below me yet.
Not yet. At some point I stopped aging. I don't know if you did.
No, I did too.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
We went to the same guy.
Yeah, it was called The Vampire. No, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. Okay, no vampire bites.
And also, along the same lines of like a director trying to get something from the actor, in around that same scene, it was the point when he grabs the steak from us, we go, and he's like, "You're next," But no, we say you're next. Anyway, so
No, I think he says you're next.
No, you killed Marco, is what he said.
Yeah, he goes, "You're next."
No, we said you're next.
No.
I think you did. You're next, I'm pretty sure.
Who's got the film?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Run that section.
Does anybody know? Anybody got the answer? I did?
Yep, you did.
You were right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
I was really talking about
He's
this.
gloating now. He's gloating. You see how he does that?
So the thing is, in that same sequence, Joel was like this, like you said, we were all kind of tired out, and all kinds of reactions, which is, it's hard to do it. Am I overdoing it and all that kind of stuff?
Am I underdoing it?
Yeah. So I was doing it. And I was just like looking back.
Which were you doing though? Were you under or over?
I was under in this case. Like
Okay, so I must have been over.
It was. Well, it wasn't. Brooke was like.
Well, we were in a bathtub. I mean, it gets weird. All right. Go ahead.
Well, so Joel goes like this. He goes, stop the cameras. I mean, it was not that dramatic because the cameras were stopped anyway. But he was like, Jamie, I'm going to tell you what you look like in this scene. After basically looking just so bored. So that was maybe his way of slapping me.
That sounds pretty
It hurt.
nasty. I can't imagine that getting a better take, but it did.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, that take you didn't see, but he was right. That's the thing is he was right.
Did it get a better performance out of you?
I think it did ultimately.
Public humiliation.
Well, that's the Hollywood way, whatever gets it done. No, but I think he was just mad. That's Schumacher. I don't think he was trying to humiliate me. He was just mad.
He was just mad.
Yeah, he was like, why are you ruining this shot that's good acting from these guys and now your reaction?
Oh, ouch.
Well, that's how I interpret it,
Nah, I don't think so, dude. You don't give yourself enough credit.
Bro.
Yeah, this guy's a great actor. I got to see him do a play when we were working on Lost Boys. We just finished. And I got to go to his high school where he was doing a high school play performance of The Elephant Man. And he played John Merrick. And this was like a real high school play where there was like no sets. He was like in the round and there was like a couch and a chair. And everything had to be like imagination. There was no makeup. There was no effects. But he contorted his body and he walked a certain way and he like made this face and he like contorted his face and he like spoke like John Merrick and it was like so brilliantly done that you actually believed you were watching The Elephant Man with no deformity at all. But that's called great acting, and especially for a kid his age. I mean, like really impressive. So
Thanks,
there
brother.
you go.
That means a lot to me. I mean, it meant a lot to me, as you can imagine, that Feldman came all the way, Mr. Like, I know him from this world, from Hollywood world, and coming to my high school to see me in this
Well,
play.
of course, we support our brothers. That's how it works. He calls himself the other frog brother. Again, this is
He's the one who told us.
Yeah, no, this is his own personal insecurity. Just because I said I'm the main frog brother, he felt he needed to take the title of the other frog brother. But I think he's just the, frog brother.
There's some lore out there that puts me as the head frog brother.
Oh, so this is the truth now. He wants to debate it.
I'm just saying it's out there. It's out in the.
Hey, you know what? Listen.
Yeah.
I say the fact that you actually, well, not you, sorry, but Alan became a vampire for a while kind of just takes away his status a little bit.
Could be right about that.
No, that's, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm just saying, he's been to the dark side, and we think he came back, but we don't really know, because, I don't know, there was a werewolf at the end of the movie, I don't know what's going on.
Right, and there was it's the franchise is not done, so you could become a vampire.
Who says the franchise is not done?
Yeah, is the franchise done?
I don't know. I mean, it's not, our version of the franchise, because apparently they're rebooting it. Well, it's going to be a CW show, apparently. And they've replaced the Frog Brothers with Frog Sisters. So, yeah, I'm not too excited about it. But, hey, you never know what could happen. I heard there was these girls that auditioned that looked like a lot like us. And so they made an audition tape or something. And we put it on my YouTube channel. It's pretty funny. You should look at it.
They look a lot like us.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Not to
You
mention,
have to see it for yourself, though.
I just want to mention that G. Tom Mack
Yes.
has the rights to the Broadway play,
That's right.
and he has written apparently most of the songs for it, if not all.
And a couple other, some really great ones. Like,
My
my question is, how did you guys become so famous? Because I'm 13 years old and I want to know how to become the next big hit movie star.
I'll tell you what, anything is possible, first of all. So always remember to believe in your dreams and believe in yourself and realize that you can be anything you want to be in life as long as you have the power of believing it enough to make it happen. So that's number one. Number two, stay in school. Don't do it yet, but plan accordingly so that when you turn 18, you can do what you need to do to live out your dream. That's the best advice I can.
The people that you work with and interact with and stuff, take those relationships seriously, I think, because it's kind of what all of this is about, is people just wanting to work with people that they want to work with and be just, good to people, good to each other, so, right? Is that,
Absolutely.
like, it was a good build-up, but...
No, it's true. I mean, it's a very important part, is everybody, it's all about love. Because the job we do is really not brain surgery, it's not rocket science. It's putting your heart and your soul into it, and that's what matters most, is putting your heart and soul into it.
Good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's not that different than playing an instrument or singing. Put in your time and love the process. If you don't love the process, all right, it's going to suck every now and then. You don't want to work hard, all the time. But working consistently, and I think it's pretty much, it's very much like music.
I'll tell you what, here's an interesting analogy based on a story that David Gilmour once told me. But basically I was with David and we were backstage at one of his shows, and we were having a kind of a sax player moment because my ex-wife started off by being in band and playing sax, and then she continued kind of sax again a little later in life when she met me, and I was always doing music. So on this tour, David Gilmour was playing sax for the first time, and so he's now a sax player. And then we had Scott Page, who was the sax player for Pink Floyd between 87 and 90, and then he had Dick Perry, who is the original sax player, who was again on tour with him, and he was the guy who played on all the big albums, right? So Dark Side and Wish You Were Here and all that stuff. So anyway, so there they all are having this kind of sax talk, and I kind of interrupted and I said, well, my wife is also a budding sax player, so she's, and they were all like, oh, really? Yeah, so tell us all about it, da 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 da, And so at that point, I said, David, it's kind of amazing, because he says, well, I actually just started. I just started this year. And when I began playing sax, I started to realize that, it was really a lot easier than I thought it would be. And I was like, well, the interesting thing about it is when you play the sax, it sounds the same as your guitar solos, except it's just coming through another instrument.
Nice.
And he says, well, yeah, because it's just another voice, it's just another extension of me, but it's still me, right? And I said, exactly, so that's exactly your point, which is that no matter what form of art it is, whether I'm writing, whether I'm producing music, whether I'm producing a film, whether I'm directing a film, whether I'm acting, or whether I'm dancing or singing or playing an instrument, it's all the same. It's all passion that you put forward. And because you sing and you play sax.
That you love what you're doing. I think if you don't really love it, then it's, like everybody says, it's a cliche, but it is the process much more than getting there.
Well, yeah, and you also wouldn't still be doing what we do after all the time we've been doing it, right?
That's right.
Right.
That's right. If we
We're
didn't
all
love
still
it.
here, right?
Yep.
For all three of you, favorite film project, whether popular or lesser known, that you ever worked on, and favorite actor to work with?
Okay, I'll start with Tim Cappello.
I don't know how many people, I'll take a little survey. How many people have ever seen a Gregory Hines movie named Tap? Yeah. And I got to obviously worked with Gregory and Sammy Davis Jr. It was his
Wow.
last film. And all the great tap dancers from the golden age. They were still alive. They were still kicking it. And just going to, they would have these, there was a scene where they were all sort of trying to cut each other and do their thing, you know, Sandman Sims and Jimmy Slide and all these people that you really have to look up now to find out, but how incredibly gifted these guys were. And not a lot of people saw it. I think, but to hear Sammy Davis hold court every day, which he did, he was so generous, and he was so, it was from such a different generation. Every day, I mean, I had, you know, I just had, it was certainly not a starring role, but he was so generous to everybody. And every day, he'd just see me, he'd say, "How you doing, buddy?" And he'd grab my ass. And he'd say, "You got a nice build on you there, kid." I mean, there was no flirtation. It was just the way these guys were. They were just so generous and wonderful, and I
Old
wish
Hollywood,
more people
baby.
would. Yeah.
I got to meet Sammy too.
Did you?
Yeah,
Tell me.
I was at the Academy Awards, and I was getting ready to do my performance in 1989, and we were introduced by the great Lucille Ball.
Oh, wow.
Bob Hope. Wow, it was like awe-inspiring, right? So I got to meet all of them before they died. I've gotten to meet a lot of the old school legends, from Milton Berle, who I had the pleasure of working with a couple times.
Wow.
I've gotten to meet a lot of the great ones, you know. But anyways, Burgess Meredith and Cesar Romero.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible. And I was friends with Adam West and Burt Ward, who's still around.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's great. It's really cool. But anyway, so I got sidetracked there.
Favorite movie
Right.
that maybe not everybody saw, right? You're
Right, well, there's that.
Personally.
Yeah, okay, well, never mind the rest of that story then. Okay, so so my favorite movie, well, no, we gotta do Jamison first. It wasn't even my turn. No, I've got it. I wanted you to go first.
So like, I was that just made me look at like all the things that I've done, various things over the years, and you can't.
Tale of Two Quarries, wasn't it?
Tales of Grace was
No, just
it was not the greatest. No, I'm kidding. No, it was a lot of fun. But I mean, and also I did a movie a few years ago called Bone Tomahawk. Right? Great film. Check it out. It's a great horror western. Really creepy. This director is this old friend of mine we used to put up dumb plays in New York together, and he knew film, like he knows film so well. He's just one of those guys, you know, that eats and drinks, breathes film. Is that the expression? I don't know. Yep. Anyway, so that's it. And then on the day that I was there, it was like a whole bunch of great actors. You know, first of all, Kurt Russell played the lead, and so he was there. I went up and had lunch with him at his table, even though like everyone else was, you know, not wanting
Afraid of him.
Yeah,
Right.
But I just went up.
No, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean Young was in it also. That dude from Eddie and the Cruisers, what's that guy's name?
Michael Pare.
Yeah, Michael Pare was in it. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Great
There's some other
actor.
people too. Yeah, you should check it out. It's the
Yeah.
saloon scene when they're deciding what to do. Anyway, so I'm gonna.
I know of the movie. I didn't know you were in it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's cool.
You can't miss me, bro. It's like 10 seconds. But I have
I got a pause button on my machine. I'll stare at your face for a while. Character, you know, I don't want to see his character.
Right.
It's not because I got feelings for you or anything. You know? No, I'm just joking. Brotherly love. It's a brotherly love kind of thing. Anyway, so my answer to the question is: he still there or did he leave? He's gone. He's like, see you later. All right. My answer to the question is a film from Spain that I did in 2005. and it is called The Birthday. And it's my proudest work because it's the first time I was able to really completely remove myself 100% from myself as the character. And I really became this other character like day and night because I was in every single shot of the film, and it was one of the most complicated films I ever shot because the director, as he was saying about his film, was a true artist. And this guy, he's responsible for a film that some of you may know called Grand Piano, which was with John Cusack and Elijah Wood. Brilliant film. And so this guy, you know, was a true artist, and he came to me with this amazingly interesting script, which all took place in real time. So from the moment that the movie starts to the moment that it finishes, it tracks my character in real time, which means I'm in every single shot of the film. Not just every single scene, but every single shot in the film either begins or ends on some part of my body or full picture, whatever it is. And so it was a lot of work. And on top of it, there's like 100 extras in every scene, and everything's like all choreographed and like, you know, perfect timing because everything's got to cut time together. And it's an intense thriller, and it's like a black comedy all in one. And I play this character that's like a total freak, and it's an insane ride. It's an insane journey with this character, Norman Forrester. So anyway, you guys should definitely try to check it out. The only way you can see it is by ordering it on Amazon from Germany.
Wow.
Yeah, seriously. Well, this is what happens when people try to silence you in the industry, and they try to make sure that your best work is never seen by the American public so that they can't say, oh, well, he's doing great work. You know, they want to say, oh yeah, the last thing he did was like Meatballs 4 or something, you know. But that's what they do. They hire you for these crappy movies, and then they hang that sign on you. Like, a lot of people don't know, but Meatballs 4 was not called Meatballs 4 when I was hired. I was hired for a movie called Happy Campers, and it was a great, no, this is a true story. And it was a really funny script, and it was really great. And then all of a sudden, like halfway through the movie, the producer calls me down to this bar, and he's like, yeah, I've got some great news. And I'm like, what is it? He's like, we sold the movie to HBO, and we made it Meatballs 4. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I didn't sign up to do that. And he's like, well, yeah, but you signed up to do this movie, and we just changed the name, and that's the way it is. So there's going to be some rewrites in the script, and it's going to be wacky and zany.
Oh,
and
no.
that's the way, you know, these things happen, is all I'm trying to say. And maybe coincidence, maybe not. But so this film, unfortunately, could not get a release in the U.S., but every great director out there has basically seen the film and told me that they loved it, and it was brilliant because this director, who was such an artist, sent it to everybody. He had sent it to, you know, Tarantino and to Oliver Stone and to, you know, Guillermo del Toro, who actually called and left me a message telling me how brilliant it was. And, you know, so amongst the community, people know how great it is. Unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see it. So if you want to take the time, you have to go to Germany, Amazon.de.
It's called The Birthday?
Yeah, it's called The Birthday. Amazon.de or Amazon.ne. And that's how you find it. And then you also have to have a region-free player, which you can get online, and they're like $25. So there you go.
All this to see the movie, but I guess if
But
you
it's
really
worth it if you're a true connoisseur and you want to see a brilliant film. It's worth the time.
Yeah, let's do it.
Once again, thank you so much, everybody. Please show your love to Mr.